to learn from those that have been in this field. And so it's really a pleasure that the Bakash Media Foundation and the partners have decided to take it on. And I know that it has a big impact, especially for the young people that are listening in today. To get straight to the topic, maybe a bit of introduction of who I am beyond what you said is I am a lawyer by profession. I work specifically around trade policy advocacy. And currently I do work with the International Trade Center, which is a UN agency that brings together the World Trade Organization and UNCTAD. And beyond that is that I'm also in other spaces of advocacy. I lead a team called Green Deal, which is an organization of young people advocating for climate-related action and defending environmental human rights defenders. And beyond that still is that, which makes it relevant for this topic, is that I am also engaged into consultancy, specifically on fields around trade. So I understand that most of the discussions we have here, most of the people we have here are young innovators who have sought another line beyond just being into the employment world, maybe because of the challenges that persist, and everyone is trying to build up themselves, or what we can say, term as self-employed. So I understand, and I know that Alan can speak more to that particular line. And all I can share about is, as a career-driven person, what is important in terms of building your brand, staying relevant, and also being able to achieve much that you can, especially at a young age. When I look at your topic today, for me, the most important thing is that one needs to leverage their expertise. I understand that each one of us has different strengths and different capabilities. So for one to even understand to build your brand, the starting point needs to be understanding your strengths and also leveraging on that strength to be able to better yourself. And that if you have a clear understanding of where your strength lies, then you're able to drive it. You're able to rely on that and then develop yourself in the field of work that you're in. Of course, the other important aspect is networking, and not just networking, but also networking strategically. And maybe just to speak about it, there are quite a lot of opportunities, but knowing how to tap into such opportunities requires one to understand the kind of engagement to even involve yourself in. So I think sometimes we need to be specific on, if it's networking, what exactly are you participating in? There's a lot of activities happening. How do they align with your strengths or with your interests? If maybe there's industry events, a lot of conferences happening every now and again, how best can you tap into the knowledge that is shared in such spaces? And if I can share a bit of experience from my end, my interest has always been into understanding and analyzing trade. And that has been my field of interest, I think, from maybe when I joined university. And to best bring it out, I understood who I need to speak to, what fields I need to engage in, what activities are available, and what activities can I find myself engaged in. And that way you're able to find people that can, at a later stage, be able to take you on. If I can just share a bit of experience, when I was in university, I was always looking out for spaces that have that are engaged in trade and tax discussions. And I landed on one of the civil society organizations that was doing a lot of work around trade and tax justice advocacy. And I knew that was my entry point. So I thought of how best I can find myself engaged with such an institution. Two, how do I make them understand that I actually have an interest in that field? But also three, I looked at how I can leverage on where I was at the moment, because as a student, and I know that most of the people listening in here are students, you will be surprised that once you're done with school, opportunities are actually not as available as when you're still in school, because everyone wants to give an audience to a student. But once you have graduated and left school, then everyone understands that all you're trying to look out for is maybe a job. You want employment. So taking it on as an opportunity at an earlier stage, not waiting to get out of school and then you can start walking into institutions. And at my point, with an understanding of what I wanted to be and who I needed to speak to, I thought of what I can do even at that particular point. And together with a group of a few friends, we came up and started a small club, or maybe call it an organization, and we termed it the Tax Justice Club. We knew who to speak to. We knew we needed government, so we reached out to URA to be supportive, to come and speak about tax education to the university. But then we also reached out to organizations that are involved. And a month out of school, I found myself into employment by that particular organization that we had reached out to. So understanding myself and understanding my interests and also taking it on at that earlier stage for me was extremely significant. And what I find today, a key message to take is, if you're still in school, please use that's the only time you have to explore all your potential. Because once you're out and there's maybe a lot of financial demands, there's a lot of things happening, and you're trying to make ends meet, it's a bit difficult to try and zero down your focus at that particular point. But quite important if you start on it at an earlier stage. The other thing that is important in terms of building your brand is, of course, strengthening and building your relationships. How best can you cultivate lasting relationships? Because tomorrow, the only field that you'll get into that you will be listened to or given an audience, the starting point is always relationships. It is who knows you and who knows what best you can do. Because most of us have the potential, most of us have the knowledge on everything, but then everyone knows everything. So if you don't have relationships, then it becomes a bit difficult to have a starting point. The other thing that I would want to share is, of course, looking at where the world is, as you build your brand, it's extremely important that you embrace the digital age. And I'll share with you a particular story of what I've always done, or what I did back at the time of even still in university. I understood that to be known, to be picked out as someone, as a young person that is engaged in this particular field, which is maybe not involving so many people, I needed to put my message out there. And that goes back to the platforms that we use, and also how we utilize such platforms. So for me, for instance, I understood that Twitter, or what you can call X today, is a platform where I can be able to share information, and people that are able to support my vision will be out there and they'll receive a message. I recall at a certain point, I ran a 10 days campaign of tax justice. And it is interesting how it achieved more than I had anticipated. And it actually took me to a field that I wanted to be in at a later point. I did not have the money. Of course, I understand we always start with a point of, okay, if I am to do anything, no matter how small, I need a bit of resources, and which we don't have, especially us as the young people. But it is understanding that how you utilize such platforms that are available, what kind of information you share on such platforms, is what is going to take you to a different level. Now, just again about the relationships that we build especially now when we get to these fields, because the first point is wanting to get to a certain space. Maybe you want to get to a certain career. And when we get there, maybe we tend to take a step back and think we have achieved what we want. But I think, like they say, the sky is always the limit. There's never a stop to where you want to be, because even in a high position that you may be in today, you want to better it and you want to get into a higher position beyond that. So even when you've had the opportunity to get into the spaces you want, how do you maintain the relationships, but also how do you use such spaces to better yourself and to be in a higher position? And myself starting out in an organization at a national level, now the next thing that came to my mind is, how do I advance? How do I get to the international space? And how do I get to a space that still has an understanding of my interests, but also that is better than where I am today? And it all goes back to now knowing who to speak to, knowing what relationships to build. And by the time I made a decision that I needed to leave where I was, it didn't take a lot of time to find myself where I actually always wanted to be, where I thought I would be maybe 10 years later. It just came straight to me, because when I still had the opportunity, when I was still in this field, one, I leveraged my expertise. I showed how best or what best I can do. I utilized the right platforms. I ensured that I build relationships with people that matter, people that have an understanding of my industry and know, and also do work that is aligned to that. And that is what helped me to get to where I am. So summing it all up is that, of course, building your brand is not a thing that you're going to achieve in a day or trans night, but it is a process. It is a process that starts at a very young age. Don't think that you have the time because you're just starting out in university, and maybe right now all you need to care about is the grades and getting out of university with a degree. Because honestly, for me, that is always secondary. What comes first when you're starting out is understand what you want to be or where you want to be in the next 5 years, and start working on it as soon as you can. And make sure that for every conversation, for every event you attend, for every opportunity that comes your way, you look at how best you can leverage that opportunity to what you want to be at a later stage in life. I can stop there for now, and maybe Alan can speak further to it. But I think those are some of the key aspects that one needs to, for a young person, we need to really put into mind and consider taking into account. Thanks a lot. And I want to hand it over back to you, the moderator.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I think that has been very, very insightful, especially for me, the aspect of young people trying to get into these spaces while they're still in school. I totally agree with that. And for me, I mean, even from experience, and what I always tell people is that it gets easier for you if you've been, proactive and, investing in your networks and finding something to do in the spaces that you're interested in while you're still in school. When you get out, you don't start from scratch like someone who has not been doing anything at all. And when you get out of school, it gets harder. So the more proactive you can get while you're still in school, get to know people of influence, quote unquote, in the areas that you're in, it just like helps you to, so that you're already building a foundation such that by the time you get out, you're already kind of like you're already in people's faces, opportunities are locating you, and aspects like that. Thank you so much for that. At this juncture, I'd like to invite our second facilitator, who is Alan Manzi, to take us through. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. Thank you, Bakash Media, for having me. I've always been watching all these trainings happening, and I see what you guys are doing for the next generation. So thank you. Regarding building a personal brand, I can see why I would be in this particular category because of the work I've been able to do in the past years. But again, it's been a lot of work. So my name is Alan Manzi. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a producer, writer, director. I've created 2 TV series, Chadala and JDC, and both of them are on DSTV. JDC is now in its second season. But it's been 13 years of me in the film industry. But I can say I've been an active Ugandan filmmaker for 7 years. But why is that difference in years? Is because I took the first years after campus to focus and just learn, to be that sponge in every room and learn and grab up every single opportunity, workshop, seminar, what in film, so that I can further my knowledge. So the first thing I would say for anyone hoping to build a brand in anything, especially if you have proper formal education and you've got your degree, you have your diploma, even have your master's, you need to firm your ground in the world you want to enter, because there's so much knowledge that is not in university that is actually you learn through practice, and no one's ever going to tell you this unless you see it happening in the real world, which is why internships and apprenticeships are really amazing. But if you can land yourself in the corner of just any of the industries you want to enter, and you're able to be of use, like in internship or any of volunteer basis or apprenticeship, and so that you can soak up before you can apply and get knowledge. What will this help you? This will help you learn so that you don't make mistakes. And also, if you do make mistakes, it's not on your what? The course is not on you, you're learning. So it's something that even someone told me this, like one of my mentors, advised me to first make sure I know the industry very, very well before I enter it. This was way back, like 10 years ago. And I took my time. I went to school and I got my certificate courses. I was able to get even a master's in film. And still, after that, I went ahead and worked for people before I started doing things on my own for myself. And this is so that I can form my knowledge, and my opinion on certain things is unquestionable. Because knowledge is one thing, experience is another thing. So being able to merge the two, you become more of like a novice, a master in the field, even before you start practicing. If you have strong experience and strong knowledge. So once you have a good knowledge foundation, I think, and you now want to venture into whatever field, and I'm going to use my career as an example, is once you have the firm knowledge is when you start venturing. Now, for me, I released my first short film in 2015. And it didn't go anywhere, but it was such a strong film that it opened so many doors for me, and I was able to get employment elsewhere under some productions, and I was able to be given better guidance. But again, one of the things is you have to be ready for failure. Like when you eventually you will grow and become big, but at the beginning you'll have to fail first so that you get better. So embrace that, because once you start branding yourself, and like I am Alan Manzi, I am
Did
Have
we
we
lose
lost
Alan?
Alan?
We must have. Alan, if you're there, we cannot hear you. Maybe you would want to drop and join again. Okay, he has rejoined.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. We can hear you now.
Okay. So as I was saying, I'm going to use my own career as an example. So what I did is, before I ever started doing my own films or my own projects, is I learned and was an assistant in a lot of, like, over 30 productions. Before I ever said, Nanga, let me also try and see if I can write or produce my own work. This is so that I can see and learn from people's mistakes. Once I have that information, once I had that knowledge, and I know, like, the risks have been reduced, then I ventured into the world. But then also this was to protect the quality of work I have to do. Because I believe as a creative, or in any field where you're producing goods or services, the quality matters, and quality is what keeps people coming back always. So for me, what I decided is, if I'm going to be a filmmaker, I'm going to be high quality film, whereby if it's a movie, if it's a TV series, if it's a commercial, and it's mine, it's going to be top quality. And to achieve this means you have to put in much more work, and also a lot more investment of time, and also finances, and ask for those finances. But for me, the objective has always been to produce quality. I do not want to have a bad quality project mess up or drop the brand I'm trying to build. So from the commercials I've done, to the series I've done, to even short films, I tried to make sure, again, with the knowledge I have and experience, I maintain a certain level of quality. And because I keep releasing projects, whether it's a commercial, a short film, even music video concepts that I've done for a few artists, all of those, there's a certain quality to them that makes people go, something about this guy's work that makes you want to, like, watch more or keep coming back. And that's what creates consistency. And for any entrepreneur, will tell you, like, if you want success, consistency is key. Because once the right opportunities come, it's immediate success. But again, quality, protect your quality. And that will come by you, first of all, giving yourself the right background, giving yourself the right knowledge, and making sure you reduce the risk factors of the work you do, so that you don't have customers or clients going out there and saying, Manzi did this, I did a commercial for me, or I had Manzi to write a series for me and it came out bad. The quality is going to be your biggest word of mouth. It will help, like, market you more than anything. The next thing I would say is integrity. Like, it's hard to think about, like, filmmaker, why are you talking about integrity? But a lot of what we do is business. Everything in, like, I'm a filmmaker, but I'm in the film business. I make I make this so that I can earn a profit and survive and earn a living from it. So money exchange is literally part of the game, and a lot of money is going to be given to you or entrusted with you. Having high integrity, principles, and discipline, and very good discipline, will build your brand and your relationships more than anything. Integrity of when you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're sticking to this, you're sticking to this. Having the right principles about how you operate and run your what you do. In my case, my craft helps whoever is coming to work with me also know that this is the level they have to work at if we're to achieve what they want to achieve. But then at the same time, for anyone who is dealing with money and they see someone with high integrity and has principles and is very disciplined, it's much easier to trust you with money. A lot easier. People trust people with money based off of their integrity, yet they don't even have documents. But building high integrity, having principles, and that discipline will build your relationships a lot more than anything. So now, how do you, that's the second thing. Going into the third thing, how do you maintain these these relationships? How else can you maintain these relationships? I believe, this is my personal opinion, I believe charisma or being easy to work with is one of the key factors for any person who has any brand. You have to be very easy to work with. You have to be, you cannot be a pain in the process of work. You cannot be, or like, yeah, you may have principles and may be disciplined, but you're still cordial enough and you're still pleasant enough for the people you work with, whereby those people are your ambassadors out there. And the more better you present yourself to the people you work with, the better you're represented out there. But also, it also affects like the general mental health of everyone working. If we are positive and want to have, hello? Yeah, if we're positive and in the work, in the space we are working in, and we have maintain a good charisma with the people we're working with, and we try as much as possible to be easy collaborators in whatever it is we're doing, this will help sell your brand and shape how people view you more than anything. Because now this is the third parties. These are people who don't know about you hearing about you. It's very key you have good charisma and are easy to work with. In spite of your process, in spite of the pressures, in spite of the quality you need to put out. Because no one wants to work with like a grumpy person, or no one would love to collaborate or be in an environment whereby someone is always hounding them or they're negative. Having good charisma and being easy to work with will help smooth a lot of conversations that could be difficult and even help solve problems much faster. So moving on. And so those who are following, we're now on the fourth item. So the first thing I mentioned is the quality work, then the integrity, then charisma. And now, I don't know if this sort of matches with integrity, but I feel it's really different. Deliver as promised. Deliver as promised. Build the trustworthiness with anyone that comes to you to work for work, and never disappoint anyone. So if in case you're not able to deliver, tell them at the beginning, but don't take on jobs, don't take on gigs, don't take on assignments you know you're not going to be able to deliver, that you'll falter on, because, and the reason you're doing this is because of the low-hanging fruit of money right now. This is going to damage your reputation for years. Let it go if you can't do it, or if you know you can't deliver. Unless you're sure that you know you can deliver, then you say, okay, let me take this person's money. Because people, I mean, we all expect high quality work for what and services and goods for our money. We work hard for our money. So don't play with people's money. And it's one of the things, us, especially in our creative world, we've had a lot of problems with. People give you their work, or they expect a certain level of a certain level of trustworthiness with you, but people, creatives sometimes, and some of them, get the deposits and run away, or they start doing other people's works, or they just lump 100 different projects and they just like they don't give any of them time and simply speed them out. This is going to spoil your name more than anything. You may get the money right now, but 1 year no one's going to work with you. Like in 2 years, we'll be like, hey, guy, yanziba sente zangu. And that's it. If I have just got my command and I was going to invest it into whatever work you offer, and I hear that about you, I'll never give you my money. So deliver as promised, so that at least, even when you have no clients, the existing clients that you have had in the past are spreading good word about you, and that will come back. Like, it will be like a boomerang. It has to come back. No, moving on. Number 5, I think. Yeah, niche. Guys, we need to define our niche. Now, for me, I'm a filmmaker, but film is a very broad, like one of the most broad crafts. I am a writer, director, producer, and that's it. I can do a lot of different fields in film, and I very ably so. And I'm trained in a lot of them, but I chose to have my niche. I write and direct and produce, and I don't even write that much unless I'm specifically required to. I decided to produce and direct as my focus, so that I can allow other people who are good at who are better at those other things do them. Now this sharpens like all these other things I've told you about. If you deliver well and you have high integrity and your work is quality, and you're in a niche, you're going to. It's a matter of time before you monopolize that. Wow. If you create something, what is special about you and your work? If you if you figure out what it is and you work towards that. Now, like for me, I know the kinds of stories I tell. And from the first story I did was about a young girl in Kawempe, my short film. And then someone saw me, and then Rich Hand saw that and figured Sky can tell emotional stories about young people. And that's how Chadala came about. And from that, someone approached me for about doing a series for children. But because of how I started from the first project I did, it sort of led me into a direction, and I've sort of stayed in that direction. I could be making all sorts of projects as well. Series, we've seen the telenovelas, we've seen the amazing short films people are doing. And I could go into those worlds, but at the same time, I can't be good at everything. And if you're good at everything, you're good at nothing. So having your niche will sharpen people's belief in you and also sharpen your own skills. And once anyone talks about that particular thing, it's you. And once you really specialize it, the price is for you to choose what you want to be paid for that, because you're good at it and you're the one who can actually do it. So whatever companies, professionals, recruiters, clientele, once they see, oh, this person is a great public speaker, or this person is great at problem solving, or this person is great when you put him in the field, or this person is great at Excel. I'm just giving examples. Once you figure out what your niche is and you sharpen, you work with that niche, focusing on that, it will attract like the right people to you, and you'll be able to set the right prices for yourself. So my last point or points are something all of you are really doing right now, given the fact that we are on what Zoom call is network. I would say go crazy networking, like network everywhere. The Mr. Bakash himself can tell you how critical it is for business opportunities. For you getting business opportunities and surviving in any business, you need to network. You need friends, a cross section of friends across the board, literally in your industries, in opposite industries, include the border guys, the chairman in your village, the ambassador of China. I'm just spitballing, but I'm just saying, have as much people who know you and have you in mind with what you do. You as this person, me as Alan Manson, like I make sure I create enough network whereby enough people in the cross section of society know me, and even if we may never cross paths, but they're ambassadors of me, and at least I get when I talk to them and I tell them what I do. They may never think about me for 5 years, but 10 years down the road, they'll find where is this guy who used to do this as a huge deal that's coming. Networking is crazy. It opens up opportunities. It's gotten me so much in my career, and I think for anyone who wants to open up client base, network, like a madman. And finally is just utilize the free tools we have in today's digital world, social media. Social media is is everyone there waiting to be entertained. It's just eyeballs waiting and ears, waiting for people to tell them something interesting and for you to sell to them something. So if you're smart, you would use social media and it will like expound all of your efforts by 10, because people like the world is watching. And if you're following everything I've just mentioned here and you have good charisma and your work is top quality and you have your niche and now it's out there on social media, you will move places. Make sure your portfolio is accessible. Make sure people can see what you're doing on social media. Make sure you're not asleep. It's social media. Yes, it's there. It's media. It's media whereby you're going to post pictures and content and your videos, whether personal or not, whether business related or not. It's all up to you. But people are there and they want to socialize with with you in that regard. So feel free and be yourself and create yourself a world where you are the master, where you are you are the authority on this, and you make sure everything else follows, everything else checks, where your quality of the work you're doing in this world works, the integrity is there, the charisma is there, you deliver every time, and your niche can't be touched. Like, as soon as you have all of this and it's on social media and you're actually good, it's a matter of time. You will be successful. It's a matter of time. So I think with those short words, I think that's what I had to share with you guys. But yeah, in case of any questions, I'll be able to answer.
All right, thank you so much, Alan. Your insights are highly, highly appreciated. Network, invest in your craft, quality work. I think that those are really, really helpful pointers. Right about now, we're going to get into our Q&A session. So if you have any questions about if you'd like our facilitators to shed more light on what they've said, if you have any questions regarding the topic of discussion today, this is the time. Please raise your hand. We'll send you a request to unmute, speak up, and ask your question. If you're feeling shy this morning, you can also use the chat. We'll be able to pass on your question to the facilitators. Feel free to either direct it to either of them or leave it open, but please mention that so that we can be able to go through this swiftly. After that, we'll have a poll session where we'll just gather some feedback on how the session has been and also what you'd like to see in other sessions. Okay, anyone with any questions? Hello, anyone? Any questions?
Good morning, everyone. I want to appreciate the kind words of wisdom from Alan Manzi, and I'm Yvonne Montesi, and I'm aspiring for this film industry because it's really, really breaking out and it's making amazing work. And I'm one person who appreciates it so much. So my question is, how best do you maneuver the copyright law in Uganda in particular? Because we all know that our copyright is very behind. I am not well versed with it. So if you could please shed some more light there, I'll be happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, for that question. And thank you for joining the industry. We need very many more young people joining. So tell a friend. Copyright is one of the toughest conversations we're having right now. It's breaking companies all over the world. But in Uganda, as much as we keep saying, we don't have copyright enforcement, I would say. It's not so much copyright laws, because I've been actually in some of these legal fights over copyright in this country. The laws are there. The laws are actually there. URSB does a good job of separating and making them known, like what constitutes IP, what constitutes ownership, what doesn't constitute, what falls into what category, who's the author and who's not, and what sort of agreements do they have together, who is the primary author, who owns the all the different IPs, there's so many categories of IP and ways people can actually make money from this. So what we have right now is very broad, but it's sufficient to cover. What we really don't have is we don't have proper enforcement and also knowledge. Because let me tell you this, there's recently, and I read about this last year, this Jamaican singer, Cautions, I think. He sued Airtel, or one of them, those companies, for 600 million Ugandan shillings over usage of of his song without permission, using Ugandan laws. So the laws are actually there, and he won the case, and I think Airtel either appealed or they paid, I'm not sure, but I know that's actually a public record, and Cautions won Airtel over IPN, them using his law, which is that one's very obvious. Using someone's product, you have to pay for it. But then IP goes into like commissioning. If we're working together, who owns the product? That's where personal agreements is supposed to come in, like co-productions and co-ownerships, which is now the knowledge. People need to know about these things. And who constitutes like the copyright owner? Because you may be the writer, but you're not the owner of the copyright because you were commissioned by someone else. Because I called you, Manzi, to come and write this film. Doesn't mean it's you. And I gave you that, and I gave you the concept, and I said, write for me this. You wrote it, doesn't mean it's your film. No. You were commissioned, and you can't take copyright for it. You can't claim it even. And so at the same time, then there are situations whereby we co-write and we co-author, or you wrote the first half and then slept on it, and then years later I finished it, and now who owns it? Those things have to be agreed on before like get to the courts, but we have sufficient laws. But I think some of the things like what the different groups are fighting for are the policies getting more now. Like for the music industry, it's crazy how it's been so divided. Copyright, it's been so divided into so many forms and ways that people can steal your work and you still have copyright, but they somehow legally can steal your work still. Like it's the nitty-gritties of the laws that I think they're trying to refine. But generally, copyright exists, and I had to sell copyright of JDC to MultiChoice, and that was part of our agreement. And we couldn't have done it if they couldn't have produced it with me if I had not given them the copyright, or they can't even put it on their channel if I had not given them the copyright. So copyright is very key. So it's the laws are there. We just have to learn the laws and also see how to improve the policies around them, maybe.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan. I hope we've answered your question. The lady who wants to join filming. Unfortunately, Brenda had to leave us. She had another meeting that was already starting, so she left. Amos Kamjusha is asking, hi everyone, my name is Amos and I'm a graphics designer. And one of the things I struggle with is specializing, getting into a niche. How did you manage to get into your niche and stick there? Thank you.
I think I decided to go with passion. I figured I was not satisfied with a lot of the way the projects were being done, and I decided I'm going to also be a filmmaker, but I want to make quality projects. And the niche of doing I don't know if my niche, because I can't say specifically Alan Manzi, this is his niche, but I know what like I can feel, or even the consensus story. Oh no, this is something that I can do. Oh, but that's not something I can actually do. It's something that has sort of it's the work that has sort of started gravitating towards me. But also now for me, being a director specifically and sticking on it is something I decided because I've had opportunities to go and do multiple other fields in film and even outside film. But I could see like the light at the end of a long tunnel. And if you just stick to it, there will be fruit. And for me, we had to stick it out. We had to stick it out. The industry, I told you, I entered 13 years ago. That's 2011. And at that point, the industry in Ghana had been there for around 20 years, and it was still nowhere. But still, people were struggling. Shows are coming out, and one of the things that used to bug me was misrepresentation and seeing how we're not being represented properly in films and TV shows. Like, we can do better than this. And so I felt it like upon myself to do that, and I decided to be a director. I sort of fell into it, but once I started doing it, I decided this is what I'll do. And consistency, that's it. And also, yeah, if it comes at a cost, the other side of it is if you're saying to do this, and now someone comes with all that money and it's saying to do the opposite of what your niche is, that's a very hard choice to make. But for me, it's you have to. This is when your values come in. Why are you doing this? What it is? What is your actual like goal or vision of like why are you doing? Why did you choose this niche? If you're not really attached to it, then maybe you can switch. But still, you have to be able to maintain. You have to be able to maintain that where you're switching to. Me, the niche is more towards consistency. If you're good at something and you stay good at it, eventually it's going to grow and you're going to be big and successful. And but yeah, and I think that's another thing. You have to pick something you're actually good at. So you may want to on directing, but you can't direct. Really, you can't. And projects are showing you can't direct. You have to see where your strengths are and be honest with yourself. So yeah, so maybe find something you're good at and make a decision, and hopefully it's backed up by deeper reasons than just I just wanted to get a niche. You're good at it and also you want to do it because of XY. But if you're changing niches, if you're moving around left and right and you don't have specific place and money is what's pulling you, you may lose some of the depth your work will have. But yeah. I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan. Amos says yes, the question has been answered. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions? Any other participant that would like to ask anything before we move on to the next segment? Okay, if there are no questions as of yet, we'll just move into the poll segment. And if you have any one or two more questions, you can just put them on the chat while we still have Alan on here. So right about now, if you look at your screen, there's a poll that has popped up asking you to give us some feedback on some questions regarding this session. So kindly take a few minutes of your time to just give us feedback on those areas to enable us curate content that is more relevant for you. After that, in the meantime, while you do that, I'm going to kindly request you, those who are able to turn your cameras on, please do so. We're going to have a photo moment briefly after the poll has been answered for purposes of accountability. So kindly turn your cameras on. Love to see your faces and also to feature you in that photo. Kindly turn your cameras on. Thank you. Those who have answered the poll, thank you so much for your feedback. Those who haven't, the poll is still up. Kindly take a few moments of your time to give us that feedback, please. Thank you. It's good to see you, Paul. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you, Solomon. Thank you for joining us this morning. Ivan Asimwe, it's good to see you. I hope you found this session relevant. Yes. About a few more people to finish the poll as we also wait for others to turn their cameras on so that we can take our photo. In the meantime, Alan, do you have any parting shots for us, please? Is Alan still on the call? Okay, just a moment. We're still waiting for more cameras to come on as we also finish this poll very shortly. In about half a minute, we'll be taking our photo. Right. Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to take a photo now. Please, Michael. Just a moment, please. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much, dear participants. Oh, Alan had dropped. I think he's back now. Thank you so much, participants, for joining us this morning. I wonder if Alan has any parting shots that you'd like to leave us with before we close the session. Alan, are you back?
Yes. Sorry, I got a call. Yes. Parting shots. What I can say is, you have to remember that this is how you're going to, like, how you want people to remember your best day. And that's the brand you want to build. That's the brand you want to put out there, your best version of yourself. So think about that and make sure, you put your best foot forward every time you're with people. Represent yourself, especially in situations like networking. These things will help you so much, and make sure you quality work, integrity, charisma, and keep delivering good work. People will come back to you. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Alan. We really, really do appreciate your insight on this. Thank you for sharing with us your experience and knowledge that you've acquired over time. It's really, really helpful, and we appreciate you for that. Thank you as well, dear participants that have joined us this morning. These sessions happen every week on Friday at 11 a.m., and we are mostly discussing career essentials in the particular area of the future of work and how young people who are getting ready to be delivered into the workforce can be prepared, can best be prepared for this world. So we'll have our other session next week, same time, same day, and we look forward to seeing you. Enjoy your weekend and see you next week. Bye.